Morning everybody, Troy from the Do-It-Yourself World and the Off-Grid Project. I have done some weeding today and I put mulch around the plants in hopes that it'll help save them. Maybe it is temperature and I figure it can't hurt, they're nearly dead, so put mulch around them, see if if that brings them out of it. Now also let me show you around what I did outside. Some of the spearmint had grown over into here, and some of the apple mint had grown in over here. And so I took them out. And what I'm going to do, we all know mint grows out of control. And each year, as it grows out of its confines, I'm going to take it out and transplant it around the property. So I'll show you where I put it. Melanie's flower bed, she wanted the apple mint here. So I put that right here in the middle. I'm going to have to keep that well watered. And by the way, I never got to show you the entrance now with these. It doesn't really show on camera. Your eyes see it better. With the hanging pots. It looks really good. Got to trim the grass around it yet. And then the spearmint went in this flower bed. That's where she wanted it, so that's where I put it. Now inside the greenhouse, I'm making a raised deck to sit on. I want to be able to sit out here on a chair and just enjoy the beauty of our greenhouse. By next year, all these beds are going to be filled in entirely. But consider, let me show you the pots these came in. Most of these came in a pot this size last year. Some a little bit smaller. And look at that growth in a season. That's incredible, that spread in one season. Here, look at that, from a tiny little pot to this today. It's beautiful. Really bushy. By next year, we'll be thinning that out and taking it out to different places on the property, which is fine by me. I'm very pleased with that. The spearmint is just starting to fill out. It's a slow grower. The apple mint is going to start flowering probably pretty soon. I expect them to get 3 feet tall, which is exciting. And then the sage, all but one came back. That one started to grow and then died. I don't know why, but they're starting to flower, which is really pretty. Next year, with the greenhouse closed, I'll have an earlier start in the greenhouse. So we're going to have flowers everywhere by this time of year. It's going to be really, really nice. And then here's a comfrey root that a friend sent us. We had 4 roots of comfrey and put them in pots. One spilled over. It got rained on and spilled over. And I took 2 of the roots, I think 2 or 1 of the roots, put it in this pot thinking it was dead. And Melanie replanted the pot and there was another root in there which is growing. Pretty cool. So they spread out even more. And then our chamomile is starting to flower. Let me take you out and show you the one in the pot that's flowering already. Here, there's flowers forming on the tips of these. All grown from its own well, I don't know how it spread itself. But it grew up from seed all over the place from last year. There's flowers coming. Looking good. Look at that. Chamomile flowering. So, that's really nice. That's our first one of the year right there. Really beautiful smell. The plant itself, everything smells so good. Oh, beautiful deck. Look at that. Well, it's not as big as the deck we had in the one in New York outside, but it's a deck. I'll be able to sit here in a chair and enjoy my greenhouse. It's going to be really beautiful next year because we'll have all the empty spaces filled in by then. It'll all be grown out. Hey guys, can't see myself. Well, I'm sitting here on my new deck. Figure we have a coffee chat. We haven't done that in a long time. Been wanting to have a place to sit in the greenhouse since we got the idea to build this like this. There was originally that 4x4 piece, and I remembered I put it on the back wall for the framing of the greenhouse, and it's a good place for it. And I figured, you know what, plywood isn't that strong anyway, so I built out of scrap lumber I had on hand, 2x6 lumber. I built myself a deck, and I went with 1/2 inch spacing in between to make it true 6 inches, and also to give a gap in between each board for breathing, let any moisture evaporate and prevent rot under there. So I figured it was a wise idea, because we water the plants in here with a garden hose and there's going to be overspray. I can't explain it, but it's peaceful in here. I just can't explain it. There's so much peace in this greenhouse. There's no words for it. I like to just come out here, and it was uncomfortable because I would come out and I would kneel down and look at things, and now I can actually sit here and enjoy properly. But this is our yard chair. I want to find a plastic chair or something I can keep out here permanently that won't be affected by moisture. So I'm going to look around, see what I can scrounge up somewhere and keep it in here, because it's nice to just sit down and have a break and enjoy your work. Yesterday the heat, it got 86 degrees, and that was the end of the day for me, so that's why I ended abruptly after lunch. I worked indoors on the DIYtube.video. We're still working on that quite heavily, and well, that's going to be an ongoing thing for years anyway. A site like that's going to take time. And if somebody asks me about the grapes, I know eventually they're going to outgrow this place. They'll grow up the walls, they can run along the sides, and they will eventually outgrow it. I'm wondering though, in the summer months, I can always let it, I'm going to have an opening vent on top most likely, and I'm going to have windows, I'm not sure how yet, but I'm going to have windows that can open up to allow bees and stuff, pollinators in here. And I figure, you know, you trim back your grapes anyway to keep them tame. You trim them back a certain extent each year, and I can always trim them back to the edge of the roof each year, and then let them grow out and do whatever they want throughout the season. And I think it'll be fine. I guess we'll find out. But all my grapes outside in the different places all died, and I had a bunch of different grapes in a different place and they all died. So I figured in the greenhouse they have a better chance of survival. And then either I transplant them next year in a couple years, or I take cuttings, clippings off of them to root new grapes and I put them outside. We'll see how it goes. But it's a dream I've always had, is to have grapes. Actually, everything here is a dream come true for me. Inside, this is better than the one we had in New York, but then again, I had a year here to grow. Structurally, the one in New York was immense. It was massively built. Oddly, this does not seem like the same size as the one in New York, but it is. It's just not as tall. But it's the exact same size, square, as the one in New York. It just doesn't seem like there's as much space. I don't know. But I do plan on putting, I gotta put this other window in here, and I want to put a shelf. I'm not sure, I might put shelves on the side walls, I'm not quite sure yet, I'm figuring that out. But I want to have some shelves that I can extend the space to grow up, probably along that wall behind the camera, because the sun won't be blocked from anything if I put shelves over there. So I'll come along the back wall and then along over there, and I can go 2 rows. I can go up just like I did on this side. I think that'll work out. And I'm going to put reflective foil all along in here to reflect back the sun and make it brighter in the darker corners. On camera it looks pitch black down here, but it's not. It's well, the plants are growing. Anyway, I just wanted to share with you some thoughts. We haven't had a coffee chat in a while, and I'm going to get back to it after my coffee break. I'm probably going to do the shelves today. I'm really got the greenhouse on my mind, and I most likely will do that today. So we'll see how it goes. So stay tuned. I'm going to enjoy my coffee. And the beauty of nature here. Hey guys, did you know that you could grow popcorn from the store right out of the bag? This is grocery store bought popcorn meant for popping on the stovetop. And I sprouted it just like we do with any other plant for starting it out ahead of time. And just soak them in water for 24 hours. Cover it totally for 24 hours and soak them. And then the next day rinse it, and then continuously rinse it once a day after that, keeping a lid on. A used chicken container, food container, or fast food container works perfect. I put a piece of paper over it to keep it dark. They like to be dark. And then within a few days you have sprouted corn. Now this was older, so we had a very low germination rate. Some are still sprouting, so I'll probably have a second planting. And in my greenhouse bed, where the cats had urinated too heavily, is where I put the corn. I just read that urine is very good for corn, so I put the corn in here. This is popcorn, and I'll put a couple over in this spot here. And that is stinging nettle. I'm not going to cover that with anything taller. Now when the back row grows, I'll just sort of push it out away from the shelf so it doesn't have any problem with growing. But that'll we'll see how it does. I'm going to water this heavily after I'm done here with a sprinkler. I'm probably going to put a few over there in that bed as well. And I'm going to put a few in pots. Probably 3 or 4 or 2 to 3, we'll see, maybe no more than 3 in a pot this big. You want your corn denser or closer together so they pollinate each other. So I'll probably put a couple pots up on here and grow it out here. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm going to plant all the ones that are sprouted in the greenhouse. Well, I mulched the entire greenhouse, even the pots. It was getting too hot in here, and I figured, you know what, if I'm mulching anything, I might as well mulch it all. So I did the whole works. It looks nicer, and it smells good. Even the pots, the ones that are planted anyway. And I got all my popcorn in. Well, I still have a few more, and I'll find a place for them. But it makes it brighter in here all the way around. It brightens it up in here. And it'll reduce the ground temperature and improve the growth, I believe. It retains moisture, because it is baking in here sometimes. And it's definitely making a difference already in the temperature in the air. On the chamomile, I'm not sure how it reacts, so I put some in this pot and not in that pot. I'll wait a few days and see what happens, if it likes it or not. Because this one is flowering. There's another flower open since this morning, and I'm going to start cutting them off and keeping them. And then around the grapes, because they were suffering. And in here, there's another chamomile over here. The stuff is spread all over. I don't know how it did that, spread like that, but I like it. I had no idea chamomile would spread and take over a place from seed. But it's good stuff. I love it. So there's our greenhouse so far today. Coming along good. I've spent the entire day in between working on DIY tube video and the greenhouse. I'll work outside for a while and then take a hydration break inside. And then I'll work on a video site back and forth. But it definitely smells good in here. And looks good. This was a job and a half. There's this gooey substance on here on the side of the window was all the way around, and it took me about 30 minutes to clean off a big chunk of wood sticking out this far. Some of you may remember having seen that. I had to use a what do you call it, like a nail remover, pry bar type thing, and a hammer, and ran it all the way through. I had to cut off the lip of the glue on this side with a knife. It was overlapped on this side all the way across up this high, and I had to cut that out with a knife and then chisel it off the back side. I finally got it. It's a rubbery, thick goop. I'd love to know what it is, because it's really, really, really good. It ripped half the building off with it when they took the window out. I'd love to know what that is, because that is some good stuff. And then I cut a header and put that in here now, and I've got the window cut open, and I'm about to install the second window. Oh, it's so beautiful now. I'm very, very pleased with this. Well, there it is, guys. That's a clean window. Look at that. It's almost like you can barely see it. It's almost like there's nothing there. Oh, nice. So I put a header in and put the window in. I would love to find two more. It'd be a really nice looking greenhouse with all glass in the front and better sun, past the sun better. But there it is. Let's go on inside and look out. So I still got to trim this corner and trim those two pieces. I've got my stapler out, so I'm going to cut them off now today. And that corner over there. Trim off the excess plastic, but oh, feeling good about it, guys. So, have a look at today's work. Got the mulch everywhere, planted some more stuff, put the deck in. Tomorrow we'll be finishing the aquaponics. I shut it off again. I had it running for a while the sun was shining. Got the corn in there. Looking good. The peppers are not looking any better at all. I don't know what's going on. Could be the cat urine. I'm not sure. Well, that's it, guys. That's a day of work for now. I still have a lot of product reviews to work on. But for the physical labor on the greenhouse, that's it for today. Oh, and I replaced that board right there. That was broke, so I put a 2x4 in. I forgot to tell you about that. Yeah, I replaced that. That's it for the day. I'm going to trim off the plastic and call it a day. Talk to y'all later.